Hello, I'm Walter. I am a on-location Metro Boston portrait photographer. I go to people's homes, businesses, studios, occasionally outside. I love photographing confident and strong portraits of people. A lot of people use them for their headshots, profile images, models, etc. Today I'm going to be talking about how I go from my home to the location, setting up, capturing, and then breaking down. I do not have a studio for myself, so I have to always go someplace to capture portraits. I did recently speak at a conference where I put together this time lapse. So to put it to another use, this really shows off my love for Elastilite backdrops. I have, I think, about 7 to 8, which they're two-sided, so that would be like 16 backdrops. The Avenger rolling case has all of my light stands and C-Stand. The case on the right is a Manfrotto Scrim. Then I also have my Gitzo tripods. I have the new one for me, Mountaineer Series 3, and then I have one that's about, I think, 18 or 20 years old, maybe more, that I use for my BTS cameras. So I'm going to play this video. So I have to set up every session, and then what I try to do, if I have to go through all this effort, I usually try to get at least 2 or 3 people to photograph. If you have the backdrops, you'll use the backdrops. I have the Elastilite magnetic holder. I did find that this Scrim is extremely easy to put together. That's the triflector. You can use that below the subject for like clamshell lighting if you like. I always have the silver white Elastilite halo with me. Detachable C-Stand, they call it a turtle stand. The base comes apart. I have had that light stand for at least 18 or 20 years. That's why I like buying Manfrotto and Avenger, because it's something that I'll have most likely for my whole career. I go through a lot of batteries, so luckily Manfrotto came out with the dual battery charger for Sony, but it also can work for Nikon and Canon. I have 2 A7R4s with grips. One's for my still camera, one's for my BTS camera. This one is my BTS A7R4 and a slider. I customize every portrait based on hair, eye, outfits, lipstick, anything. Having a variety of backdrops allows me to photograph pretty much anybody in any outfit. I feel pretty much 100% confident that I have a backdrop for any situation. All of my cameras have the Atomos Ninja V on them. My still camera has it so I can see through the lens, and then I have a Sony ZV-1 and an A7R4, and the camera that I'm using right now is a AX53 by Sony. Got to pack everything up. This case weighs a good amount with all those stands in it. I can put about 3 to 5 backdrops in each one of those bags. So that's just a little BTS of what it takes for me to do a portrait session. Luckily, I had access to that amazing studio in Hingham. My friend Carrie let me use it. I've got to use that studio about 4 or 5 times now. These are a couple of the portraits that I captured. This one, I have the Scrim. I have a NANLITE Forza 500 closest to the camera as my main light. A NANLITE Forza 300 in the back of the Scrim as a fill light. You can see a little bit of a kicker on the back of her outfit. That is 2 lights. This one I'm using a Forza 500 going through the Scrim like a window light. I also have a NANLITE compact above that's adding a little bit of hair light, but primarily it's the Forza 500 going through the Scrim. Now, it all began in 2019, where I was doing a wedding photography conference, and I had a booth at Depth of Field B&H. So I had my camera, I had a continuous light, and I also had a model named Tommy that walked by my booth. So within seconds, I was able to grab this backdrop from the booth that was to my left that had it just laying around. I put it on top of a chair, so that was my background stand, was a chair. Tommy was to my right. I ran to the trade show and bought a Pro Photo beauty dish from the rep, and then I set it all up. And then what happened was I asked my wife, I said, let's do a little BTS video. So this is Tommy in the middle. I was a wedding photographer, still do weddings, but I have this paint pole, so instead of me having to hold all the weight, I carry this paint pole because I love off-camera light. So this is the very first moment that I used a Last Light backdrop. Not planned, never even crossed my mind. And that was the Manfrotto Last Light rep. That gave me a little bit of a hand, even though I could do it by myself. Never say no to somebody that gives you a hand. And the portraits that you see on the left and the right, that was all captured in front of a booth that I had during a conference. Tommy was amazing. I hit the lottery. I think that backdrop works perfectly with his hair color, even though I did make it black and white. During this little session, I did say, what is this backdrop? And he goes, oh, it's Last Light. So this is the very first time that I ever used a Last Light backdrop. They want to get by. He's like, I want to get by. Go ahead. So Tommy was amazing. If you ever get to work with Tommy, there we go. This is me just finding out what this backdrop is. And from this moment on, everywhere I go, wherever I taught, from Norway, Canada, throughout the United States, I've always used this backdrop from this moment on. And those are just a couple images that I got. So this is just a short video, and then I have something of my portraits since then. I have, as you guys can tell, if I go to here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 backdrops times 2, 14 backdrops at my disposal. So these are just a few highlights. I just got this one, so I got lucky that I had it when I photographed Max. This one photographs extremely well too. You don't need to go outside to a alleyway. There's no mugging going on here. I bring it with me into the studio, all on location. I didn't know if I was going to ever like this backdrop, but with the right subject and the right color hat, this backdrop works out well. Purple and red. these backdrops photograph amazingly well. I use continuous light, so these are matte backdrops. There's no reflection back towards you. And if you have the backdrop with you, you'll use it. And if it's easy, you'll use it. So, like I mentioned, I have all these backdrops at my disposal. I look at the person's outfit or color of hair, eyes, etc. And I pretty much feel 100% confident that I have a backdrop for anybody that I ever have the opportunity to photograph, including puppy dogs. I bring this backdrop with me when I used to be on location to teach, but like we all are stuck at home, I can't wait for it to get out. But this, just a short video of some of my portraits using the Last Light backdrop. You got the origin story of how I even found out about Last Light. Luckily, I was at a live in-person conference, and I always enjoy going to the trade show. Even though I was part of the trade show, I did walk around. Luckily for me, my wife stayed in the booth. And lucky for me that the Last Light Manfrotto rep let me borrow his backdrop. Tommy let me take his photo. And Pro Photo let me borrow the beauty dish. So just a short story of why I love using my Last Light backdrops. So if you like the video, always give it a thumbs up. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. I have that at the end, so not at the very beginning. So if you make it to the end, hopefully you give me a little support and like and subscribe. So till next time, I'm Walter, and stay safe and healthy.